Their work often calls to them in the middle of the night. A fatal accident, a devastating fire, a drug overdose. An hour or two later, they are knocking on a door or meeting someone at a hospital to tell them their loved one has died. Who would want to be a county coroner? What motivates them to take on such a terrible duty? How do they handle the emotional turmoil of breaking the news to a heartbroken family or process the heartaches themselves? Jerry Overman Jr. is the Indiana County Coroner. He says breaking the news to a family that their loved one has died is a terribly emotional part of the job, and he's especially careful in these troubled days with the scourge of opioids and a rising suicide rate.
Drug overdose, we've found that a lot of people, the families might not ever know that their child or their other family member was addicted to some sort of substance overdose. Suicide is probably the worst because the families always try to figure out, where did I miss this? Where did I go wrong? Why didn't I catch something? What was a sign that I missed?
Overman says the emotional impact of a death takes a toll on all first responders, too, who share a common burden.
We'll go out and we'll talk to them and try to have them recognize some of the signs that they may have that they're having terrible stress over it. We'll say, like, can't sleep at night, or maybe they're not eating anymore, or maybe they're reverting to, smoking or drinking or something of the sort. So we address those with them in a group, and if they need support, we give them resources. We go back and do one-on-ones if we need to, but we do anything to try to relieve their stress. It's amazing when you're sitting in a group of first responders that have that common thread of a death or a severe accident, maybe without death, on how they start telling their stories, and when you leave, the difference in people's, demeanor, their way to deal with it changes drastically.
Brian Myers is the Armstrong County Coroner. He echoes Overman's thoughts on helping other first responders deal with some very difficult circumstances.
We are all a big family, so we all sort of can talk it out, and we all understand what everybody's going through. I try to be there as much as I can for everybody else, including we're on the suicide task force, the drug overdose task force, and we try to talk to all these people that are dealing with the same things we are.
Myers says he leans on his family to help with the stresses of the job, especially when he encounters something he can't unsee.
As for me personally, absolutely. When you close your eyes at night, you still do see what you saw that day. But you do try to put that behind you. It's hard even having kids, because sometimes when you're dealing with kids, your own kids' faces become on the deceased faces. And it really is rough at some points, but it's also great to have a great family and support that I can talk to, especially my wife, that she allows me to open up to her a good bit also.
For Myers, his family's support helps him when he has to sit down with the heartbroken loved ones of someone who has passed away.
You're definitely more sympathetic, and you sit there and you cry with them. You're emotional with them. You sit there, you hug them. They take you in as your family. We are trying to give them the answers they need at that time. So it's never easy. You never have the right thing to say, but you just try to be there for them and do what they need.
A county coroner can spend hours at the scene of a death, hours more in the autopsy room, still more time preparing reports that could end up in a courtroom as evidence at a trial. In the end, though, both Jerry Overman and Brian Myers say it's the chance to offer comfort and answers to suffering families that motivate them to do the job. Coming up at 9:45 this morning, we'll sit down with Indiana County Coroner Jerry Overman Jr. on Indiana in the Morning to explore more of what it takes to be a county coroner and the toll it takes on the men and women who hold the job. For your hometown radio station, I'm Todd Marino.